everyone. Welcome back to Canto 101. I hope you guys really liked the two previous lessons that we did, but this time, which is our third lesson, we will be learning about directions and practical sentences in Cantonese. So first of all, we were going to learn about some of the directional phrases and vocabulary that we use normally in Cantonese. So here is some directional vocabulary that we use most commonly to describe where things are, to describe how to get to some place, which is very, very useful when you're traveling to Hong Kong or other Cantonese speaking place. So the first one, which is something that is next to it, we say gap lay, gap lay. So let's say you want to say this coffee cup is next to my face, we would say 個咖啡杯喺我塊面隔離. Funny enough, the word 隔離 actually also means quarantine. So if you hear people say, oh, 我要隔離, 去香港要隔離, that basically means they have to go under quarantine. So the other one is 前面, which is in front of, 前面. So I'm going to use my coffee cup again. So let's say the coffee cup is in front of my face. We would say 個咖啡杯喺我塊面前面，前面. So for left-hand side and right-hand side, which is on the left and on the right, which is like 左手面 and 右手邊, which basically translates to right-hand side and left-hand side. So 左 is left, 手 is arm or hand, and 邊, which is like to describe where the thing is. So let's say if you want to say the coffee cup is on the left-hand side of my face, we would say 個咖啡杯喺我塊面左手邊 or 右手邊. So it's very easy to remember. Just remember the directional phrases for left and right. So left is 左, 右 is right. So if you want to say the opposite of being in front of, which is in the back of, we say 後面. How mean? So we can say 我塊面喺咖啡杯後面，後面. So for here and there, it is also a very subtle difference in English as well, which is the same as in Cantonese. So if you want to say, oh, it's here, we say 喺呢度，喺呢度. But if it's something that's a bit farther, so like, oh, it's there, we say 喺嗰度，喺嗰度，呢度，嗰度. So these are just some very common things that you need to know when describing where things are, or when people give you directions, this is usually how they describe them. So how do we actually ask for directions when we're in Hong Kong or in a Cantonese speaking place? So if you want to ask where something is, so, oh, where is the hospital or where is the shopping center? We would simply say this place that you want to go to, let's say hospital, which is 醫院 in Cantonese. We would say 醫院喺邊度？喺邊度? That means, where is it? 喺邊度? So the next phrase that we learn is basically what people would usually say. So let's say the school is right next to there. The school is right next to here. We would say 間學校喺呢度隔離. So remember the word that we used or learned for here, 呢度, and the word that we learned for next to, 隔離. So we just merged them together to form like a phrase to answer people's questions. So we would say 學校, which is school, 喺呢度隔離. If you want to say the school is right next to there, we would say 學校喺嗰度隔離, which is basically what we learned in the previous one. So then we can also change up the displacement of where you're talking about. So if you want to say the school is right next to the hospital, we would say 學校喺醫院嘅左手邊或者右手邊. So we can say either the school is right next to the left-hand side of the hospital or right-hand side. So you can just modify this type of structure to describe where things are. So if you want to say, oh, how do we get there? Or how do we get here? So we can say 呢度點去? Or we could say 嗰度點去, which is basically what we learned. It's here or there. So if you want to say, how do we get here? We would say 呢度點去,呢度點去. If you want to ask, how do we get there? We would say 嗰度點去,嗰度點去. So the word here, the character here, 去, basically means how do we get to places? Like how do we get there, go there? We would use the word 去. And you can see the word 點 all the time in Cantonese. You can also hear people say 點解啊,點去啊,點做啊. That basically is an indication of the how in English. So how do we do this? Why is this? So it's like a question type of indication. So 呢度點去,嗰度點去. So if you want to tell someone, I don't know how to get there. I don't know how to get to the school. We would say 我唔識去啊,我唔識去啊. So you can see the character 去 again, which is basically, as I said, how to get there, go there. So you can add that as well. 唔識 basically means don't know. So as we previously learned, the prefix here, basically means a negation, like no. So if you put it with the character here, 識, which means no, basically if you merge them together, it'll be 唔識, which means don't know. If you want to say, I know how to get there, you can just cancel out the character here. So it will just be 我識去啊,我識去啊. So now we're going to learn how to say just common landmarks like schools, hospitals, shopping centers in Cantonese. I previously mentioned them in my examples, but now I'm going to actually teach you guys them so you guys can use it. So here are some common landmarks that we learn. So the first one is hospital, which is very, very important when you get to a foreign place. So hospital in Chinese is 醫院,醫院. So you can see the character here, 醫, you can see that all the time. So for a doctor, we call them 醫生,醫生. So the word 醫 basically it means medical. So anything medical related, you can see the word 醫there. So the next one, which is 學校, school, 學校. So you can see the character here, 學, is basically to learn, like the action to learn. So you can see this word being, written all the time. And if you see it, it's basically something that's knowledge-based or a place that you can learn. So you would always see this. So if you want to say, I learned Chinese, is 我學中文. So you can see that being used all the time. So the third one is also really important, especially if you want to go to Hong Kong, where it's the paradise of food, which is restaurant. So 餐廳, 餐廳, 餐廳. And the fourth one, which is also very important if you want to go to Hong Kong or to some other place with public transportation. So in Hong Kong, we call the metro 地鐵. And the word bus is 巴士. So the word 巴士 is actually a English translated word. So it's like a lending word from English. So it's basically just a word that sounds somewhat similar to English. So we just translate Chinese. So 巴士 is bus. So if you want to say the metro station, or if you want to say the bus station, is 巴士站 or 地鐵站. 巴士站, 地鐵站. So the fifth one, which is police station, is 差館. 差館. That is mostly a more slangish way of saying police station. Sometimes people say 警察局 or 警察處. But most of the time, if you want to sound like a local, we say 差館, 差館. So if you want to call like a policeman, like how do we say policeman in Chinese? So usually in a more formal way, we say 警察, 警察. But in a more slangish and informal way, and how I usually say it, I would say 差佬, 差佬. So you can see the word 差 being used again, which indicates police. So 差館 means where the police are. So the last one that I want to teach you guys is shopping mall. shopping mall. So it's 商场, 商场. So you can see the character here, 商, basically has an indication of merchant or merchandise. So you can see this being used all the time. So if you see that word, it basically means something is sold there or someone is selling something. 商场. So here are the common building blocks that you can learn into how to actually produce sentences to ask for where things are, how to get to certain places. And you can also use these words to teach people how to get to certain places if you're familiar. And now we will just hand it off to Eric to teach us some common slangs and some actual longer sentences that you can use when traveling to Hong Kong or some other Cantonese speaking place.
All right, so thank you, Candice, for teaching us some important words and concepts about Hong Kong. And I'll be teaching you guys some useful sentences you guys can use when traveling Hong Kong. So when you travel, you want to know how to ask these 3 questions, which is where, what, and how much. So starting off with where, if you want to ask where's the subway and where's the bathroom, which is like the 2 most essential places you need to know when traveling, you can ask in this way. You can say 请问, which is like, may I ask, in a polite way. 地鐵站, it's subway. And then 喺邊 is where. So if you combine them together, it will be 請問地鐵站喺邊, which is, may I ask, where's the subway? So we'll say it one more time. 請問地鐵站喺邊? So where's the subway? And then if you want to replace subway with the bathroom, it's really easy. You can just replace the middle word, which is 地鐵站 with 廁所. So 廁所 is bathroom. So if you combine them together, it will go as 請問廁所喺邊? So you can replace essentially any words with these words in between, and then you can just ask for how to go to this place and this place. So once you get to those places, you want to ask what, right? What's there to do? What's there to eat? So if you want to ask for a recommendation, the way you can say this is, once again, 請問, may I ask, 你 is you, 有冇 is have, 咩 is any, and then 推介 is recommendation. So if you combine them together, it will be 請問你有冇咩推介? Do you have any recommendations? So, well, let's say once again, 請問你 is you, 有冇 is have, 咩 is any, 推介 recommendation. 請問你有冇咩推介? And then, you know, once they recommend you to this food or like this activity to do, you want to know how much is it in case it's like out of your budget, right? So the way you would ask this is 請問 once again. 呢個 is this 幾錢? So you combine them together is 請問呢個幾錢? How much is this? So say it one more time. 請問呢個幾錢? So how much is this? So these are really the 3 main sentences that I think you'll actually encounter. They can really use like on a daily basis when traveling to Hong Kong. So if you want to get closer to locals, you can also use some slangs. You know, if you use slangs with them, they'll tend to be like friendlier, and you know, it'll make your time much more enjoyable at Hong Kong, because you can kind of blend in with the locals. So of course, if you follow along with all the Cantonese 101 lessons, you can know that we can know that like your Cantonese must be at an exceptional level. So, you know, of course, the locals going to be praising your Cantonese like, wow, the Cantonese is so good. It's like almost like near native, right? So the way you can say it is like, the way you can answer it is you can say, it's a piece of cake. You know, you say it in like a cheeky way. So the way you can say it is, you know, sap sap soy is a piece of cake. It's like, it's easy. Sap sap soy. Yep, sap sap soy. But you know, not everything can go as smooth. So in case you mess things up, or in case like, oh, things doesn't go well, you can say in a funny way, it's like, I messed up. And then the slang for this in Hong Kong is lie. It's like, I done goofed. Lie. So we'll say it one more time. Lie. In some way, you have to say it like really fast because, like, I don't know, it's funnier this way. It's like lie. Anyway, so moving on, you also need to learn how to express your discomfort, or not discomfort, but like your disliking. So like, if you want to refuse some things, but you don't want to say it in like a rude way, because sometimes, you know, you have trouble saying no because you don't want to be come off as rude. One way you can say it is like, you know, it's all right, like it's okay, not my favorite. And one way you can say it is ma de, which is like, not my favorite. So someone can ask you, oh, do you want to try like durian? And you already know like it's not your favorite. You can say like, mama de. It's like not my favorite. It's like not, you don't like it, you don't dislike it, but most of the time it means you don't like it. So one more time, mama de. So the last one I'm gonna learn is not really a slang, but it's a really useful word that you have to learn when you're trying to purchase things in the market or in the street market. Because most of the time the price kind of fluctuate depending on how you look. If you look like you're not from here, they might try to give you like a higher price. So one way you can throw them off is you can say, 好貴啊. You can say it's so expensive. So then that way they'll be like, oh, he must know what he's talking about. So I better give him a good deal. So if you want to say how it's like too expensive, you can say, 好貴啊. So one more time, 好貴啊. So in that way, you'll get the best deal of all time. So that concludes the lesson for today. So thank you guys for attending to our lesson. And this will also be the last lesson of this semester because we know finals and midterms are coming up for the next few semesters. So you guys won't be as free to attend this class. But we're coming back next semester, and the format will depend on how the situation with COVID goes, and hopefully we can make it in person and see you guys face to face. So anyway, have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.